Hello and welcome back to the Academy of the Magical Art. I am Frater Ophiel, and today we are going to be taking a brief introductory look at the 7 Hermetic Principles. The 7 Hermetic Principles are 7 principles or basic realizations or laws that govern our universe. If you examine life, ranging from the smallest molecule to the largest, most vast expanse of the cosmos, you will find that all of these principles will be able to be found somewhere in nature. We will be doing a video in time to come on Hermetic philosophy and how it came to be and how we can see it found in today's occult practices. But for now, we are just going to briefly examine the 7 Hermetic principles and what those are so that we can expound further upon each one of these principles and how to apply them to magical life and magical practice. The 7 Hermetic principles are the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. These 7 principles will be discussed, as I said, and explained upon in later videos to come, but a short explanation of each will be a useful thing to meditate on regularly to begin to gain some further insight on what each one of these principles truly means and not just its surface value. The principle of mentalism states that the all is mind, the universe is mental. The principle of correspondence is very basically as above, so below, as within, so without, something that we have all heard multiple times, I'm sure, and something that we will continue to hear many more times through the rest of our lives. The principle of vibration, which is something that quantum physics is just now really starting to break the surface of, says that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This principle holds true in both the smallest particle, or a photon, and the largest thing that we can think of, a star. Both of these things vibrate, both of them move, both of them combust, just on very, very different scales, which leads us into the 4th principle, or the principle of polarity, which says that everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths, and all paradoxes may be reconciled. The principle of rhythm says that everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The principle of cause and effect says that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to the law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. And the 7th principle, or the principle of gender, says that gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and its feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. These 7 principles, as I said, are principles that govern and rule every aspect of the universe, including our lives, our magical practices, our professions, and so on and so forth. In another place in the Kybalion, it states that the wise ones serve on the higher, but rule on the lower. They obey the laws coming from above, but on their own plane and those lower, they rule and give order. This briefly describes that in knowing the law and knowing magical principle and universal principle and how to apply it to your lives, you gain a certain authority and responsibility that allows you to, yes, play by a different set of rules, having a different advantage or a different perspective on almost every situation you come into. However, it also comes with it the responsibility to hold yourself to a high standard, having knowledge and understanding of these principles. So I want to strongly encourage any magical practitioner to spend much time learning and understanding both the 7 Hermetic principles, other principles discussed in Hermetic philosophy, and as much other magical law that you can come to gain an understanding of. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key, before whose touch all the doors of the temple will fly open. This is another quote from the Kybalion. And yet another states that the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. So we must still ourselves and become ready to receive these understandings. Open our ears, close our mouths, so that we can listen and digest these things. And in doing so, you gain keys to the temple. These are the temple of the mind and the temple of the universe alike. And in having these keys, you have access to understandings that allow you to ascend to new levels of understanding, ascend to new heights, ascend to new levels of consciousness. And in doing so, becoming very independent and very hard to control. This is why those who many people refer to as the Illuminati or the enlightened ones, they know and they understand these principles, and they can use them to influence those who do not understand them. However, once you do understand them, you cannot be as easily influenced by them because you recognize them working, and you work with them instead of being ruled by them or those who know them. This will be explained further in videos to come, and things such as the law of polarity and how depolarizing yourself and allowing yourself to become balanced and stable becomes very important in your personal, your professional, your magical. All forms of life that you lead will take on entire new meaning simply through the act of depolarizing yourself. You will see things through new perspectives. The rose-colored glasses will come off, and you will gain new perspective and new insight to situations that you did not have before. People who are polarized are very easy to control. So by knowing and understanding and having a good foothold in the principle of polarity, that control is then taken away and you gain back a piece of your power and a key to the temple. I strongly want to encourage you to pursue further knowledge and understanding of the 7 Hermetic principles and how to apply them to your life. We'll be covering them further in videos to come. I always find independent study and independent critical thinking to be very, very important practices and traits to carry. So pursue your own knowledges and understandings on these things in a deep and personal way, and you'll gain deep and personal knowledge of the workings of the world around you. Thank you for joining with me today at the Academy of the Magical Art, and until next time, blessed be.